The Perks of Being a Wallflower, September 16th, 1991. Dear friend, I have finished To Kill a Mockingbird. It is now my favorite book of all time. But then again, I always think that until I read another book. My advanced English teacher asked me to call him Bill when we're not in class, and he gave me another book to read. He says that I have a great skill at reading and understanding language, and he wanted me to write an essay about To Kill a Mockingbird. I mentioned this to my mom, and she asked why Bill didn't recommend that I just take a sophomore or junior English class. And I told her that Bill said that these were basically the same classes with more complicated books and that it wouldn't help me. My mom said that she wasn't sure and would talk to him during open house. Then she asked me to help her by washing the dishes, which I did. Honestly, I don't like doing dishes. I like eating with my fingers and off napkins, but my sister says that doing so is bad for the environment. She is a part of the Earth Day Club here in high school, and that is where she meets the boys. They are all very nice to her, and I don't really understand why, except maybe the fact that she is pretty. She really is mean to these boys. One boy has it particularly hard. I won't tell you his name, but I will tell you all about him. He has very nice brown hair and he wears it long with a ponytail. I think he will regret this when he looks back on his life. He is always making mixtapes for my sister with very specific themes. One was called Autumn Leaves. He included many songs by the Smiths. He even hand colored the cover. After the movie he rented was over and he left, my sister gave me the tape. Do you want this, Charlie? I took the tape, but I felt weird about it because he had made it for her. But I listened to it and loved it very much. There is one song called Asleep that I would like you to listen to. I told my sister about it, and a week later she thanked me because when this boy asked about the tape, she said exactly what I said about the song Asleep, and this boy was very moved by how much it meant to her. I hope this means I will be good at dating when the time comes. I should stick to the subject though. That is what my teacher Bill tells me to do because I write kind of the way I talk. I think that is why he wants me to write that essay about To Kill a Mockingbird. This boy who likes my sister is always respectful to my parents. My mom likes him very much because of this. My dad thinks he's soft. I think that's why my sister does what she does to him. This one night, she was saying very mean things about how he didn't stand up to the class bully when he was 15 or something like that. To tell you the truth, I was just watching the movie he had rented, so I wasn't paying very close attention to their fight. They fight all the time, so I figured that the movie was at least something different, which it wasn't because it was a sequel. Anyway, after she leaned into him for about 4 movie scenes, which I guess is about 10 minutes or so, he started crying, crying very hard. Then I turned around and my sister pointed at me. You see, even Charlie stood up to his bully. You see? And this guy got really red faced. And he looked at me, and then he looked at her, and he wound up and hit her hard across the face. I mean, hard. I just froze because I couldn't believe he did it. It was not like him at all to hit anybody. He was the boy that made mixtapes with themes and hand colored covers until he hit my sister and stopped crying. The weird part is that my sister didn't do anything. She just looked at him very quietly. It was so weird. My sister goes crazy if you eat the wrong kind of tuna. But here was this guy hitting her and she didn't say anything. She just got soft and nice, and she asked me to leave, which I did. After the boy had left, she said that they were going out and not to tell mom or dad what happened. I guess he stood up to his bully, and I guess that makes sense. That weekend, my sister spent a lot of time with this boy, and they laughed a lot more than they usually did. On Friday night, I was reading my new book, but my brain got tired, so I decided to watch some television instead. And I opened the door to the basement, and my sister and this boy were naked. He was on top of her, and her legs were draped over either side of the couch. And she screamed at me in a whisper, "Get out, you pervert!" So I left. The next day, we all watched my brother play football, and my sister invited this boy over. I am not sure when he left the previous night. They held hands and acted like everything was happy. And this boy said something about how the football team hasn't been the same since my brother graduated, and my dad thanked him. And when the boy left, my dad said that this boy was becoming a fine young man who could carry himself. And my mom was quiet, and my sister looked at me to make sure I wouldn't say anything. And that was that. Yes, he is. That's all my sister would say. And I could see this boy at home doing his homework and thinking about my sister naked. And I could see them holding hands at football games that they do not watch. And I could see this boy throwing up in the bushes at a party house. And I could see my sister putting up with it. And I felt very bad for both of them. Love always, Charlie. September 18th, 1991. Dear friend, I never told you that I am in shop class, did I? Well, I am in shop class, and it is my favorite class, next to Bill's advanced English class. I wrote the essay for To Kill a Mockingbird last night, and I handed it in to Bill this morning. We are supposed to talk about it tomorrow during lunch. The point, though, is that there is a guy in shop class named Nothing. I'm not kidding. His name is Nothing. And he is hilarious. Nothing got his name when kids used to tease him in middle school. I think he's a senior now. The kids started calling him Patty when his real name is Patrick. And Nothing told these kids, listen, you either call me Patrick or you call me Nothing. So the kids started calling him Nothing. And the name just stuck. He was a new kid in the school district at the time because his dad married a new woman in this area. I think I will stop putting quotation marks around Nothing's name because it is annoying and disrupting my flow. I will make sure to differentiate if something comes up. So, in shop class, Nothing started to do a very funny impersonation of our teacher, Mr. Callahan. He even painted in the mutton chop sideburns with the grease pencil. Hilarious. When Mr. Callahan found Nothing doing this near the belt sander, he actually laughed because Nothing wasn't doing the impersonation mean or anything. It was just that funny. I wish you could have been there because it was the hardest I've laughed since my brother left. My brother used to tell Polish jokes, which I know is wrong, but I just blocked out the Polish part and I listened to the jokes. Hilarious. Oh, incidentally, my sister asked for her Autumn Leaves mixtape back. She listens to it all the time now. Love always, Charlie. September 29th, 1991. Dear friend, there is a lot to tell you about the last 2 weeks. A lot of it is good, but a lot of it is bad. Again, I don't know why this always happens. First of all, Bill gave me a C on my To Kill a Mockingbird essay because he said that I run my sentences together. I'm trying now to practice not to do that. He also said that I should use the vocabulary words that I learned in class, like corpulent and jaundice. I will use them here, but I really don't think they are appropriate in this format. To tell you the truth, I don't know where they are appropriate to use. I'm not saying that you shouldn't know them. You should, absolutely, but I just have never heard anyone use the words corpulent or jaundice ever in my life. That includes teachers. So, what's the point of using words nobody else knows or can say comfortably? I just don't understand that. I feel the same way about some movie stars who are terrible to watch. Some of these people must have $1 million at least, and yet they keep doing these movies. They blow up bad guys. They yell at their detectives. They do interviews for magazines. Every time I see this one particular movie star on a magazine, I can't help but feel terribly sorry for her because nobody respects her at all. And yet, they keep interviewing her, and the interviews all say the same thing. They start with what food they are eating in some restaurant. As blank gingerly munched her Chinese chicken salad, she spoke of love. And all the covers say the same thing. Blank gets to the bottom of stardom, love in his or her hit new movie or television show or album. I think it's nice for stars to do interviews to make us think they are just like us. But to tell you the truth, I get the feeling that it's all a big lie. The problem is, I don't know who's lying, and I don't know why these movies sell as much as they do, and I don't know why the ladies in the dentist's office like them as much as they do. A Saturday ago, I was in the dentist's office, and I heard this conversation. "Did you see that movie?" As she points to the cover. "I did. I saw it with Harold." "What do you think?" "She is just lovely." "Yes, she is." "Oh, I have this new recipe." "Low fat?" "Mm-hmm." Do you have some time tomorrow? No. Why don't you have Mike fax it to Harold? Okay. Then these ladies started talking about the one star I mentioned before, and they both had very strong opinions. I think it's disgraceful. Did you read the interview in Good Housekeeping a few months back? Mm-hmm. Disgraceful. Did you read the one in Cosmopolitan? No. God, it was practically the same interview. I don't know why they give her the time of day. The fact that one of these ladies was my mom made me feel particularly sad because my mom is beautiful and she's always on a diet. Sometimes my dad calls her beautiful, but she cannot hear him. Incidentally, my dad is a very good husband. He's just pragmatic. After the dentist's office, my mom drove me to the cemetery where a lot of her relatives are buried. My dad does not like to go to the cemetery because it gives him the creeps, but I don't mind going at all because my Aunt Helen is buried there. My mom was always the pretty one, as they say, and my Aunt Helen was always the other one. The nice thing was my Aunt Helen was never on a diet, and my Aunt Helen was corpulent. Hey, I did it. My Aunt Helen would always let us kids stay up and watch Saturday Night Live when she was babysitting or when she was living with us and my parents went to another couple's house to get drunk and play board games. When I was very little, I remember going to sleep while my brother and sister and Aunt Helen watched Love Boat and Fantasy Island. I could never stay awake when I was that little, and I wish I could because my brother and sister talk about those moments sometimes. Maybe it's sad that these are now memories. And maybe it's not sad. And maybe it's just the fact that we loved Aunt Helen, especially me, and this was the time we could spend with her. I won't start listing television episode memories, except one, because I guess we're on the subject, and it seems like something everyone can relate to in a small way. And since I don't know you, I figured that maybe I can write about something that you can relate to. The family was sitting around watching the final episode of MASH, and I'll never forget it, even though I was very young. My mom was crying, my sister was crying, my brother was using every ounce of strength he had not to cry, and my dad left during one of the final moments to make a sandwich. Now, I don't remember much about the program itself because I was too young, but my dad never left to make a sandwich except during commercial breaks, and then he usually just sent my mom. I walked to the kitchen and I saw my dad making a sandwich and crying. He was crying harder than even my mom. I couldn't believe it. When he finished making his sandwich, he put away the things in the refrigerator and stopped crying and wiped his eyes and saw me. Then he walked up, patted my shoulder and said, "This is our little secret, okay, champ?" "Okay," I said. And Dad picked me up with the arm that wasn't holding the sandwich and carried me to the room that had the television and put me on his lap for the rest of the television episode. At the end of the episode, he picked me up, turned off the TV, and turned around. And my dad declared, "That was a great series." And my mom said, "The best." And my sister asked, "How long was it on the air?" And my brother replied, "9 years, stupid." And my sister responded, "You, stupid." And my dad said, "Stop it right now." And my mom said, "Listen to your father." And my brother said nothing, and my sister said nothing. And years later, I found out my brother was wrong. I went to the library to look up the figures, and I found out that the episode we watched is the highest watched anything of television history, which I find amazing because it felt like just the five of us. You know, a lot of kids at school hate their parents. Some of them got hit, and some of them got caught in the middle of wrong lives. Some of them were trophies for their parents to show the neighbors like ribbons or gold stars, and some of them just wanted to drink in peace. For me personally, as much as I don't understand my mom and dad, and as much as I feel sorry for both of them sometimes, I can't help but love them very much. My mom drives to visit the cemetery of people she loves. My dad cried during MASH and trusted me to keep his secret and let me sit on his lap and called me champ. Incidentally, I only have one cavity, and as much as my dentist asked me to, I just can't bring myself to floss. Love always, Charlie.